Okay, it's 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order. If you would stand, please, and join me in a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Our first item is approval of the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting held on March the 10th. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? And seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
I'll move to approve.
A motion by Commissioner Gusler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Norwood. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. And that carries unanimously. We'll have a public hearing for every item on the agenda, but if anyone has any general comments not related to an item on the agenda, you're welcome to make them at this point. And seeing none, we'll start with the agenda. Our first item is a request to find the proposed future land use amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the character of the surrounding area, and recommend approval of the change of future land use designation from county, rural, to city, commercial, subject to the findings of the staff report for property owned by 10058 Plymouth LLC and located at 1058 Plymouth Sorrento Road. Do we have a staff presentation?
Good evening. David Moon, Planning Manager, Community Development Department. The case before you involves approximately 6 acres located on the west side of Plymouth Sorrento Road, north of the 441 connector road at the entrance to State Road 429. The applicant has requested a change in the future land use from county rural to city commercial. The intent is to develop a small commercial retail center at this location. In terms of the character of the surrounding area, we see that the land use and zoning is somewhat transitional, and not the zoning category transitional, but there's a great deal of change that's going to occur in the near future. We have this property owner has acquired properties over here, which will, on the west side of 429, will be a larger mixed-use commercial multifamily office development. This approximately 6 acres is catty-cornered to a residential community. To the south is vacant, and to the north and to the east is vacant or large lot single-family residential. After review by the Development Review Committee, we found the proposed future land use designation of commercial to be consistent with the character of the area, as well as the area planned to the west for a mixed-use development, and find it compatible with the comprehensive plan. The recommendation of the Planning Commission is to find the proposed future land use amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the character of the surrounding area, and recommend approval of the change of future land use from county rural to city commercial, subject to the findings of the staff report. I'll add that the following case involves the application to change the zoning for the same property. That I'll address any questions the Planning Commission may have. Thank you.
Okay, any questions of staff? Okay, thank you. Does the petitioner have a presentation? And seeing none, we'll close the presentations, open the public hearing. Anyone wish to appear before the commission on this item? And seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we find the proposed future land use amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the character of the surrounding area. Recommend approval of the change of future land use designation from county rural to city commercial, subject to the findings of the staff report for the property owned by 1058 Plymouth LLC and located at 1058 Plymouth Sorrento Road.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lorindo. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Gustler. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then we'll vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. And that carries unanimously. Our next item is a request to find a proposed change of zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from T, Transitional District, to CN, Neighborhood Commercial District, for the property owned by 1058 Plymouth LLC and located at 1058 Plymouth Sorrento Road. We have a staff presentation.
Yes, David Moon. Again, this case involves the same property presented previous. The request is to change the zoning from city transitional to city neighborhood commercial, which is our least intensive commercial zoning category. Property located to the west of Plymouth Sorrento has access to arterial road from Plymouth Sorrento, as well as the access to State Road 429 through the connector roadway. So similar to the information presented in the previous case, I carry that over to this presentation. The requested zoning is compatible with the character of their area and consistent with the Land Development Code.
Yeah.
The 5.29 acres will generate a maximum of, I had the number here earlier, 64,468 square feet. And with that, the Development Review Committee recommendation is to find it consistent with the character of the surrounding area and recommend approval of the change of zoning from transitional to neighborhood commercial. With that, since we have a new land development code, the neighborhood commercial provides lands that accommodate a range of small-scale, low-intensity neighborhood serving commercial development that provide goods and services to residents of a neighborhood district. Regulations are intended to ensure uses, development intensities, and development form that is consistent with a pedestrian-friendly and neighborhood scale. Development allowed in the district includes limited retail sales and services, personal services, eating or drinking establishments, and similar related uses. Thank you.
Okay, any questions of staff? All right, does the petitioner have a presentation? And seeing none, we'll close the presentations, open the public hearing. Anyone wish to appear before the commission on this item? And seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to find the proposed change of zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from T, Transitional District, to CN, Neighborhood Commercial District, for the property owned at 1058 Plymouth LLC and located at 1058 Plymouth Sorrento Road.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Norwood. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Gustler. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. And that carries unanimously. Okay, our next item is a request to find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the character of the surrounding area, and recommend transmittal of the change in future land use from county rural and county industrial to city industrial for the properties owned by American Sanford 4 LLC, Stephen R. Fulbright, JP Holdings, Inc., Rubright Properties LLC, Rubright Family LP, JP Holdings, Inc., and James Scott Pridgeon, Douglas and Lisa Surratt, and James R.P. Purdy, subject to the City Council adopting the proposed future land use element, text amendment that supports this future land use designation for the property located west of North Orange Blossom Trail, north of Hogshead Road. And we have a staff presentation.
Chairman, Commissioners, you are familiar with this site as in November of 2019, there was a hearing before you requesting a different future land use category than this evening. Previously, there was a proposal for a mix of land uses under a new proposed future land use designation called the North Shore District. After the applicant had met with property owners within the airport and discussions with staff, they amended their application for a future land use map amendment to industrial. Because of that, there was no longer a need to have a text amendment to accommodate a North Shore mixed-use district. Therefore, that application was withdrawn. So there is no text amendment. What you had read previously, staff forgot to remove that language. It should not be as part of the motion. The case before you is the Rubrite Area Large-Scale Future Land Use Amendment with a request to change the land use from county rural and county industrial to city industrial. The location of the site is to the west of US 441, north of the Hoggs Road area, and to the west of the Orlando Apopka Airport. The site accommodates approximately 350 acres. On this slide, you'll see two air photos. The one to the left here includes property that was part of the original application. This appeared before the Planning Commission back in November as part of the amendment of their land use amendment application. These parcels were dropped. So now the boundaries have changed. The site is slightly smaller than what was previously presented to Planning Commission in the other application. So these are, what you see on this slide is the boundaries of the proposed land use amendment. In terms of the industrial land use and compatibility with the character of the surrounding area, to the south is vacant industrial and mixed-use property. Further to the south on Hogshead is some of the largest vacant industrial and agricultural zoned lands in Orange County, and a number of industrial businesses that are already under construction. To the north of the property, there's some unincorporated properties that have industrial land use assigned to them. Of course, to the east of the site, we have the Orlando Apopka Airport. Then across the street, we have a church, vacant lands, and some small commercial developments. Before you shows the general character of the zoning in the surrounding area that supports the similar land uses that were just presented. Now, this is the first step for the applicant, is to obtain their future land use map designation of industrial. After the Planning Commission hearing this evening, your recommendation will be presented to City Council tomorrow evening, which is an advertised public hearing. If Council approves the first reading of the ordinance to change that land use to industrial, then the application will be transmitted to several state agencies for their review and comment for consistency with state planning policies. It will then return for a second hearing before City Council. At that time that hearing before City Council occurs, the applicant intends to have a plan development master plan presented to City Council, which means it will appear before Planning Commission before it has a hearing before City Council. So, to make it short, you will see a development application before City Council will adopt the Industrial Future Land Use Map Amendment. An application for the PUD master plan. Plan Development Master Plan has already been submitted to Community Development Department. On the screen right now is the general master plan submitted with that application. You'll see at a formal hearing at another time. Based on the review of the revised application for an industrial future land use, the Development Review Committee found the application consistent with the character of the surrounding area and recommends approval with the change from county rural and county industrial to city industrial for the properties that are presented this evening. So the recommendation before the Planning Commission is to recommend approval and find it compatible with the character surrounding area and consistent with the comprehensive plan. With that, I will address any questions that Planning Commission may have. The applicant is here and has a short presentation that they would like to make before the commission as well.
Okay, very good. Any questions of staff? Okay, thank you, David. And if you would come up, sir, and give us your name and address for the record, please.
You're not going to go through your presentation? Okay. Oh, so I reserved that hour and a half for your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. As Mr. Moon mentioned, this has been a long process, and you recall.
And I am going to ask you to give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dan O'Keefe. I'm a real estate attorney with Schutz & Bowen, 300 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida, and I'm here representing the applicant. Thank you. So as indicated by Mr. Moon, we were here in November. We had quite a number of people in the audience, and since then we have had numerous meetings with stakeholders and community neighbors and stakeholders out there. And the plan that you saw in November has changed, and it's changed again, and it's changed again. And the ultimate product is what you see before you today, which essentially eliminated all of the residential component. And we've worked with the neighbors, including the airport folks, and I know a couple of them are here. They've been very professional and respectful to work with. We have what is now an industrial project, and again, this is a comp plan transmittal hearing, but what we would commit to is that when this comes back, should it be transmitted by City Council, when it comes back for final adoption, it would come with the zoning, with a plan unit development, PD zoning at the same time, so that you have a lot more specifics of control. And we will certainly make sure it has been stressed upon this project by staff that we don't want to have any industrial uses that would be incompatible with an adjoining airport, such as something that produced a lot of smoke or that had tall towers that would interfere with flight patterns and those type of things. The applicant has been completely supportive and cooperative to those concerns, and those will be items that, should this get transmitted, you will see before you in the plan zoning document. So with that, we have representative of the developer, we have our planner here. We're certainly available to answer any questions, and we thank you for your consideration of this transmittal hearing.
Okay, thank you. Any questions to the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. We'll close the presentations, open the public hearing. Anyone wish to appear before the commission on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to find the proposed future land use map designation of industrial for the Rubrite properties compatible with the character of the surrounding area and consistent with a comprehensive plan, and recommend a change of the future land use designation to industrial for the Rubrite properties, subject to the information and findings of the staff report.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gusler. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Lorendo. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. And that carries unanimously. Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? There being no further business to come before the commission, we'll be adjourned.